Hello, YouTube. Now we are going to do a little talk on Jnana Yoga. Please.
Okay. Um, for me, like I've always wanted to know what myself is. I always
Mm,
had a feeling that I am spirit
mm,
and I am connected to God. Somehow, God and I are one.
mm,
And I had this from age like, I don't know, 4, or I had experiences like when 4 and 8 and then at 19 that showed me that, yes, there is something like that going on,
mm.
but I wasn't exactly sure how to access that. And also, it was a little scary in the sense of like, whoa, I think me, the I, me, mine, the personal self is
Right.
going to disappear.
Yeah, yeah,
It's going to get obliterated.
yeah.
And, I'm going to be nowhere. So that was, and then when I worked doing karma yoga for my guru and for this ashram
Yes.
and for other people for, oh, I don't know what, 50, 60 years.
That's amazing.
And then Gurudev passed, he dropped his body, and I didn't really have, and he was my main man. You he could make a decision in a fraction of a second, whereas take the ashram like 6 years to make a decision. And that, so
Yeah.
it was frustrating to work with people who never really, they'd get all sorts of meetings and they'd meet like 10 times and they'd never make up their minds. So, and if you did something the next week, they'd say, oh, we should undo that and do something else. So I was like, wow, I don't think I want to get involved in this.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was kind of like lost. So I thought, what else is there? And I thought, well, you've always told yourself you should realize the self. So I started studying and practicing.
Beautiful.
And I think that the only reason that I experienced awareness was because Swami Satchidananda had burnt my ego enough.
Yeah.
I think it was, I'm certainly not perfected, but
Yeah. Me
the
neither.
ego the ego was reduced enough that it didn't mind stepping aside or just, kind of laying back and allowing consciousness to be apparent, to be
Beautiful.
recognized.
Yes.
So it was through actually some teachers on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
which I I used to listen to all sorts of people,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to feel kind of badly about that because I was so devoted to Gurudev. So I asked him one time, when he's out of the body, Gurudev, I feel funny about this. He goes, anything that serves you, that you like, take it as coming from me.
Beautiful.
And he said it doesn't matter who it is, even if it's not a teacher or whatever, take it as coming from me. So he said everything is fine, just use anything that you like. So I experienced it coming from this one fellow, and from that time, from what his method was, I could see, yes, I'm in, I have consciousness, and it's there all the time. And if I get lost, if the mind gets upset and then the ego kind of comes in and obscures consciousness, I can reset. I can get back there. So I think that I'm in the conscious state maybe 70% of the time.
Beautiful.
And it's even this guy that I got this, benefit from says for himself, I'm not finished. I'm always being worked on.
Beautiful.
And that's the way it is for me and everybody, I think. Even those that we see as really maybe perfected beings.
Yeah, they're just more perfected. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we don't see it. But because that's what Gurudev told me. He said, there's no end to perfection as long as they're in the body. And it was just he and I talking, and he was basically kind of pointing to himself. And I was like, wow, you still have stuff to work on?
Mm.
And he didn't say that, but that's what he meant.
Right.
So I couldn't see what he's working on, but we always are being worked on. And that's what all these lessons that we get from the universe is being a university.
University, I like that. Yeah.
To to tune us up.
Hmm.
So I don't know. My own experience says that for those who are sad or depressed or
Beautiful.
lonely
Yes.
or, and feel like suicidal or I gotta just take lots of drugs to
Our generation, it's all
forget.
gone up. Tripled depression, higher rates of anxiety, higher rates of drug use. I'm a part of that. I was sucked in temporarily.
If you can use yoga or meditation or anything
Right.
to experience your higher self, for me it has been very calming.
Hmm.
Even though I'm not perfected, the amount of time that I spend in awareness calms my mind and body tremendously, tremendously. And I feel so much better about myself.
Yes.
There are times that I feel like, oh, I would like to have a little more contact or a little more, you know, something interesting going on or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though I'm almost 80 years old, this
Right.
body is almost 80.
Uh-huh.
But everybody's like that. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you're 100, you still want contact with people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's only those monks that sit in a cave for the rest of their life. Maybe that works for them, but
Yeah,
that's a
it doesn't work for me.
very, very small percentage.
Right.
So my advice is find groups or people to connect with, or even start your own. Well, what do you call it? A blog or
Yeah, blog,
a
yeah.
blog that people,
Or a YouTube channel.
Yeah, a YouTube channel that people will connect with.
Yeah.
And interact with each other, and then maybe even in your own city you can start a group where you'd meet physically,
Right.
which is a little challenging nowadays
Yeah.
with all the diseases that are going around. But that's what we're looking for.
Right.
And it has to be something you're interested in, even if it were like a book club or woodworking class or whatever
Right.
it is, but really experiencing your higher self is very calming, very peaceful, very loving.
Mhm.
And it refines, like, I'm a better person
Right.
from having, and I'm smarter too. It's not me that's smarter. I think it's just that there's access,
Higher intelligence.
yes, to the universal consciousness.
Yeah.
Because it surprises me sometimes. I'm going like, well, I don't know how to do this and blah blah, and then I go, oh, okay. Sometimes things come and I just, it's the intuition, which is
Absolutely.
higher consciousness.
Higher consciousness, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm suggesting that you all connect with groups or programs or your own study and practice that will help you get into that, because it will be very beneficial, in my opinion.
I agree. That's
Okay.
beautiful. That was a beautiful little talk. Thank you so much.